Good afternoon. My name is Steve Callejas. I am the magistrate for the Court of Common Pleas. For the family court, I work for Judge Melissa Pepper Firestone, and I've been appointed to hear your case. Assisting me today will be one of two people, Alyssa Carrizales, who is the Chief Probation Officer for this court, or Ashley Roars, who's a probation officer also with this court. Now, if you're watching this presentation, it is because you received a traffic citation. Shortly, you will be called into my chambers for your initial appearance. At that initial appearance, we're going to discuss three things. First, we're going to discuss the possible penalties. Then we're going to discuss your constitutional rights. And finally, we're going to discuss the pleas that you can enter in answer to the traffic citation that you received. So let's start with the penalties. If this is your first offense, you are subject to a license suspension, a fine, court cost, and you may be referred to a driver's training intervention school. It is called CARTINS, although we have other driver intervention programs that you may be assigned to or be ordered to take. If this is a second offense, you're subject to a mandatory 90-day license suspension, a fine, court cost, and you are more likely to be sent to a driver's training intervention school. And if this is a third offense, you are subject to a mandatory 1-year license suspension, a fine, court cost, and you will be sent to a driver's training intervention school. Please understand that if you're asking the court for driving privileges, any driver's license suspension will be at a minimum doubled, and there is no guarantee that you will be receiving driving privileges. So let's go over your rights. First, you have an absolute right to a trial, and at that trial, you have a right to be represented by an attorney. If you decide you want an attorney and want to retain an attorney, you are responsible for the cost of that attorney. The court does not appoint attorneys for traffic citations, and the reason being that you cannot be detained. You are not entitled to a court-appointed attorney. You have an absolute right to require the state of Ohio to prove that you violated each and every element of the traffic citation beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a very high standard and burden of proof. You have an absolute right to remain silent. The state cannot force you to testify, nor can they comment about the fact that you chose not to testify. Only you, and if you have an attorney, you and your attorney, can make the decision as to whether or not you will testify in this matter. You can ask relevant questions of all witnesses called to the stand by the state of Ohio. This means you have the right to confront and cross-examine them. You also have the right to use the compulsory process power of the court in order to obtain witnesses to testify on your behalf. This is called issuing a subpoena. A subpoena is a court order which orders a person to come to the court on a certain date at a certain time and give testimony on your behalf. If they choose not to come to court after they've been subpoenaed, then the court will issue an order to the sheriff's department to give them a ride to the court. You also have the right to a transcript of the recording of this proceeding. All proceedings in this court are recorded, and if you decide to appeal the decision in this matter, you would have a right to a transcript of the proceedings. When you get into the courtroom, I'm going to ask you if you understand everything that we have gone over. Now, finally, there are two pleas that you can take. You can either tell the court that you're going to admit or deny the allegations set forth in the traffic citation. If you entered an admission, then I'm going to ask you what happened, and I'm going to make sure that that statement coincides with what is on the citation. After that, I will decide whether to accept your admission. If I accept your admission, we will go to disposition of your case. Disposition is like a sentence. It's the consequences for your violation of the traffic statute. If you deny, then I will set the matter for a trial or a pretrial so that you and the prosecutor can discuss this case, or if an agreement cannot be reached, we will have a trial and then you can present your evidence to the court and I will make a decision as to whether or not you are a juvenile traffic offender. When you come into the courtroom, I will ask you if you understand the possible penalties, your constitutional rights, and the two pleas. We'll see you inside.